Why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Oh, God. Sammy's going through puberty again. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, the commissioner of the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman, will join us. Tons more to get into. Expansion, World Cup, values, Connor McDavid on a multi-year deal. Where do we begin? You'll find out after these words. Real Kipper and Bourne. Welcome back to the program. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. A little over 24 hours. National Hockey League starts up. 25-26 season. In a couple of minutes or sooner, Commissioner Gary Bettman will join us. God, did training camp just fly by?
You know, spending
know
time
it's
with
shorter.
you flies by, so it's just so fun. Was that Jay's? Jay's helped? Yeah, that did help us through a little bit. But yeah, I'm ready for the season. We're just about go time here.
We didn't even discuss yet that Florida-Tampa Bay exhibition tilt.
It's rare to see things spill over from playoffs to exhibition, is it not? Like, that was... Clearly, teams still had things on their mind.
I think it's, you're right, it is a spillover, but I think it's abundantly clear that Florida just, I don't want to say bullies their way to a Stanley Cup, but they're close to it.
But I also think Tampa Bay wants back in that picture.
Oh, no, 100%.
And they're saying, we're not rolling over for you.
That's exactly the message over the weekend from Tampa Bay is, we plan on fighting fire with fire here.
Yeah.
We got a team that can hit back.
Those Florida games are going to be electric this year. But it's great. The whole Atlantic.
The rest of the Atlantic Division here.
So Ottawa and Montreal going bananas.
Yeah, you got to get your Leafies in there, Sammy.
Old Pizzetta sitting on the bench going, me? Just me? Are you literally off the air?
Oh my God!
A couple of pros.
No, we do not have an animal trapped in the studio here. That is Sammy McKee.
Can anybody hear me?
Well, I think this year. Oh, hold on! Before I finish that thought, we have an important guest.
All right, let's welcome him in. Commissioner of the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman, joins us on a short camp. Was that a short camp for you, Commissioner, as well? Did you have to compact a lot of things in a relatively short period of time?
Yeah, but that's not atypical. The summer, like the season, flies by, and we're just happy and anxious to get started. So, the sooner the better.
Big news up here in Canada, Commissioners. Connor McDavid signs an extension. No question, he is the face of hockey and the National Hockey League, so I'm sure that means a lot to everybody, including your office. I know you don't typically talk about contracts, and that's the business between a player and a management team and an ownership, but, a lot of talk around Connor's extension today is that, the perception around professional sports is the best players get the most amount of money, and we saw that with LeBron for a long time in the NBA, and most recently Ohtani and Soto in baseball, football, Mahomes. But Connor's contract seems very underwhelming, and at the end of the day, is that okay? Is that
to any person, I would find the amount of money that's being reported that he signed for is far from underwhelming. It's a lot of money. If you're focused on the fact that maybe hockey players are a little bit different in terms of their commitment to their team and to the game, and that Connor's contract, as reported, seems to reflect a desire to make sure that there's enough talent around him so that they can win, that shows you how special hockey players are, and in particular, this mega superstar who many say is the best player in the game. I think that's a testament to him, his commitment to winning and his commitment to Edmonton. And so when you talk about it's good news that he signed, of course it's good news, especially to the fans in Edmonton. But he wasn't going anywhere. He's going to stay in the NHL no matter what he did. So it tells you that he's really focused on getting the job done in Edmonton. And if I'm an Oilers fan, I'm thrilled.
Gary, thanks so much for joining us. A lot of this money stuff, like for fans and for us, you kind of have to understand it to some degree because it affects why teams change or why players change teams. It's just sort of an element of being a fan now that you have to kind of understand. The big numbers I want to get your thoughts on. There was recently a report about franchise valuations. I believe the lowest franchise value by Sportico was $1.3 billion. What are your thoughts when you see what franchise values have done over the past 20 years and where they're at now?
Well, I think it's a reflection of the importance as a business and as content and as an enterprise that brings people together. Professional sports, particularly for the four majors in North America, has never been stronger. The appetite has never been greater. And as a result, franchises have never been more valuable. I take issue with the Sportico numbers. I think they're low. They don't reflect a couple of transactions that we know are in the pipeline. But, each Forbes will come out with a valuation, CNBC will come out with a valuation. So when all is said and done, what I do like is the trend is good. And over the last 3 years, I think our franchises have gone up in value by over 100%. And that reflects, I think, well on the game and the strength of our ownership. And as importantly, and maybe most importantly, how great hockey players, NHL players are, and how I believe we have the best fans in all sports. So when you package it all together, it's not totally surprising that our values are increasing, but they're increasing in all the sports, again, reflecting the importance of sports in this day and age, particularly the content that sports represents, which is the most valuable content, whether it's linear television or streaming or what have you. There's nothing like live sports.
You're watching and listening to the Commissioner of the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman. A lot of Pittsburgh Penguin fans watch our show, Gary, so maybe you can shed some light on the Pittsburgh Penguins situation. It was reported that the Fenway Group was just looking for minority ownership, and maybe that's changed, that hasn't changed. What can you tell them?
I think the situation's fluid, and I'm not 100% certain that the Fenway Group has anchored down on exactly how they want to move forward, whether or not they bring in limiteds, whether or not they sell control, or whether or not they do nothing. And so I think things are best in flux. Most importantly, if you're a Penguins fan, I wouldn't worry about the future of the franchise. A, they're not going anywhere. Pittsburgh's a great hockey market and always has been. And B, there'll be strong ownership there, whether it's in the continuing ownership and control by Fenway, or whether or not they sell some or all of it to people that have to go through an approval process and have to have the commitment and resources to make sure this franchise flourishes going forward.
So, Gary, part of the reason these franchise values are relevant, obviously, is if you would like to buy one, they come with a certain cost, right? And I believe there are people who would like to buy them. We have heard reports that potentially Atlanta, Houston, maybe Arizona again. Could you update us on the state of the NHL's feelings on expansion?
We're not actively pursuing expansion, so you're not going to see anytime soon me making an announcement saying, okay, if you want an expansion franchise, file your application by X date. Yes, we're getting interest from a number of places. Some get more publicity than others, and whether or not it's Houston, Atlanta, Quebec City, Kansas City, Arizona, and so on, there are more. We're saying, okay, the most important criteria for us, if we're going to evaluate an opportunity, is ownership, market, arena, and what does it do to make the league stronger? And if you can check those four boxes in a meaningful way, then come talk to us, and if we're satisfied and it makes sense, I'll take it to to the executive committee and ultimately to the board if that's the mandate of the executive committee. But if it happens or when it happens, we'll deal with it at the time. It's not anything that we're pushing at the moment. Doesn't mean it might not happen at some point, but it's not something that we're actively pursuing. We're more in a responsive mode if somebody gets their act together, starting with those 4 criteria.
No question, this part of it's the timing and the costs, right, Commissioner? And just when we look around what's going on with the economy and a lot of uncertainties, does that play into anything moving forward with expansion?
That's really more up to a potential expansion applicant. I happen to believe that the sports, major league sports at the 4 major league level, and our league in particular, particularly with our economic system, makes a lot of sense as an investment. But I'm not pushing that. If somebody doesn't think that there's enough stability moving forward, then they should go invest in something else. But this is consistent with me saying we're not pushing expansion. I happen to think we're a good investment at any of the levels that are being valued. I'm bullish on our future, and I continue to believe that there's growth that we'll continue to see. And so at the end of the day, if you're thinking about an expansion franchise, you have to make your own decision. Looking at factors, the 4 factors I laid out, and whether or not you can make a sensible business of it in the market that you're choosing.
Well, if you expand to enough teams, I'll have to get back in shape. See, you're going to need players, Gary. So we'll put some thought into it.
You look like you're in pretty good shape.
Not for that sort of activity.
Everything we're talking about is the fact that we're excited to get going tomorrow night. There are great storylines. Again, this is part of what makes sports in our league and our team so valuable. The Panthers are seeking a three-peat, I think, which would be the first one in more than 4 decades. Ovechkin's, 3 goals from 900? Putting aside him breaking the Great One's record, thinking about the fact that he continues to play. Kane is moving in on Madonna in terms of, all-time points from U.S. players. We have outdoor games in Florida, 2 of them. Question our sanity. We got the Olympics coming up. It's a centennial season for 3 of the original 6, Chicago, Detroit, and the Rangers. And there's good stuff going on. And if you want to get warmed up for the season, watch Face Off on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, we just had the great promo for Sportsnet too there.
Face Off is great, particularly the second episode on Goudreau. I mean, it's sad, it's beautifully done, and it's incredible. So there's a lot to feel good about. And this translates into the questions you were asking me about expansion, about value. This is all part of what we are.
Yeah. Listen, it's all they were talking about. Everything is going like this, and that's a positive because of these stories you're talking about. And one of the things, I don't know if you know this, that fans really like is when the guys punch each other because they're serious about hockey and winning the Stanley Cup. They're competitive. You may have seen some fireworks in preseason this year. Florida, Tampa Bay, Montreal, Ottawa, Atlantic's going to be tight. What are your thoughts on what you're seeing in preseason?
My type of hockey, Commissioner.
2 things. Yeah, I'm well aware of the Florida-Tampa game. That's not what we're all about, and I think our fans understand that. What I'm fascinated about is all the commentary about teams that have improved, that didn't make the playoffs last season, and questioning, well, if they're going to make the playoffs, who's going to drop out? I mean, our competitive balance is extraordinary. The last 2 months of the regular season, particularly, for the top 8 teams, the bottom half of the top 8 teams, is the playoffs on steroids every night. And again, that's a testament to our teams, our competitive balance, and our players. And I'm excited about that. And as hard as it is to get into the playoffs, once you get in, anything can happen. And I don't think there's anything comparable in playoffs in any sports to our playoffs in general, but particularly our first round.
Speaking of great rivalries like Florida and Tampa now, Commissioner, I was playing in one in the early 90s, and early 2000s with Bob Goodnow and you. And Wednesday, we have a celebration of life for Bob. And I just want to know, like, what do you remember about Bob Goodnow, or, you know, all these years?
This has been a bit of a traumatic time. Bob passed away. Ken Dryden passed